The winter season is fast approaching here in the Tennessee Valley, and we all know that means that we could be dealing with winter weather throughout the season, and we all know how that impacts the great state of Alabama. So for this week's episode of Emily Explains, I'm going to be talking about all things winter awareness, how we provide our forecasts to you, what we do to make those forecasts happen, the different types of precipitation that you can see as the winter season approaches, and of course, we're going to talk about how it impacts travel and so much more. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Here is what we do when it comes time to forecast for winter weather. So about 6 to 8 days out, this is when we're going to start paying attention. We're going to notice and observe the different types of weather patterns for a potential system to move through. About 4 to 5 days out, that's when we're going to start to look for more of a consistency. Our confidence is going to start to increase on a more concrete forecast, and we're going to question ourselves if this forecast, the setup for it, even makes sense as we get closer to the forecasted arrival for the system. So about 2 to 3 days out, this is when we're going to start preparing a forecast. We're going to have the general idea of what type of precipitation we could see, whether that be just rain, freezing rain, sleet, or snow, the timing of the system when it's expected to move through, the locations that it's going to impact the most, and the forecasted accumulation totals. So as we get to about 1 day out, that's when we're going to have a call to action. This is when our chief meteorologist, Jordan Dressman, will issue a weather impact alert day. We're going to identify the specifics, the exact timing that we're expecting this specific system to move through, the locations that it's expected to impact the most, and what the overall threats are going to look like, whether that be just a dusting on the grass versus 2 to 3 inches of snow, and if it's going to affect any types of travel. I mentioned earlier that we have 4 different types of precipitation that we can see throughout the winter season. So that's going to go along with rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. So let's talk about how they form and exactly what it's going to really do as it moves through the different types of air layers. So all types of precipitation will start out as some sort of snow. When we have rain, this is when snow is going to melt to rain in a deep layer of warm air that extends all the way to the surface. Whereas with freezing rain, we're going to see that snow fall from the cloud initially. It's going to melt into an above freezing warm layer that's going to be sitting right above the surface, and then it's going to freeze upon contact with the cold surface. This usually happens when our pavement temperatures, our grass temperatures are right around 32 and below. Now, when we have sleet, we're of course going to have the beginning of snowfall from the cloud. We're going to see that above freezing warm layer within the surface, and notice how the freezing layer rises just a little more than the freezing rain layer did. So that's when we can see the precipitation refreeze into ice pellets in that cold layer above the surface. It's going to have more time. Whereas when we have snow, snow is going to remain snow through its entire journey through the atmosphere due to the freezing layer extending from cloud base all the way down to the ground. We also deal with black ice a lot here, and we don't have to have precipitation to occur for black ice to occur. This can even happen when we just have roadways that are kind of wet and we see an air temperature that falls into the road temperature being right around 32 degrees or below. That's when we're going to see that very thin layer of ice that's going to accumulate on the pavement. The transparency of it is going to help the ice blend into the dark pavement, making it difficult to see. That's why it is called black ice. So clear skies, the snow is going to melt during the day. It's going to turn to ice at night. Once light rainfall is involved, the rain is going to fall onto the frozen surface and then it's going to turn into ice upon contact with the roadways. We don't see this happen a lot, but it can where fog is involved, because we all know that fog has to do with water droplets. Well, the water droplets are going to freeze instantly on surfaces that are below 32 degrees. It is also common knowledge that bridges will ice before the roadways. We see the air temperature that's going to drop below freezing. The bridge is going to be exposed to cold air above the bridge and below the bridge. So that is why bridges usually freeze faster than the roadways. So here is what a scenario looks like when we have pavement versus grass. So the snow season, this is our scenario. We're going to see the air above freezing. The pavement is going to be slightly warmer. Pavement temperature right around 37 degrees, whereas a non-paved temperature is going to be right around 36 degrees. When we have snowfall on the pavement, the asphalt is going to retain the heat well, and it's going to slowly cool. It's going to also be slower to accumulate the snow, where the pavement temperature is right around 34 degrees, whereas on grassy areas, non-paved areas, the surface is going to cool a lot quicker and it's going to be faster to accumulate snowfall. Now, if you have to be out on the roadways for any reason when we do forecast winter weather, it's important to know that you do have safety tips for these as well. First and foremost, avoid driving if you don't have to at all. I know it is kind of avoidable in some scenarios, but if we like to tell people, if you don't have to be out on the roadways, don't get out on them. So if you're going through freezing rain, you're going to want to reduce your speed, avoid sudden stops. If you start to slide, you want to turn your wheels in the same direction that you're sliding in and avoid hills or steep inclines. If you're going through sleet, it's kind of the same scenario. You're going to reduce your speed, avoid sudden stops. If you start to slide, you're going to turn your wheels in the same direction that you're sliding, and you're going to avoid hills or steep inclines. Snowfall is where you're going to want to accelerate and decelerate slowly. Drive slowly, so keep that speed reduced. Avoid locking up your brakes. Don't power up hills, and don't stop when you're going up a hill or you're start to slide backwards. So here's what stopping times look like through the different types of precipitation. So we're going to assume that we're driving right around 35 miles per hour. When we see a dry roadway, it's going to take about 3 to 4 seconds to come to a complete stop. Whereas when we start to see snow and ice become involved, snow, it's going to take about 5 to 8 seconds to come to a complete stop, whereas ice is going to take the longest, about 10 to 14, maybe even 15 seconds. Now, sometimes there are scenarios where you do get stranded in your cars. I know this happened back in 2014 for some of us. So winter vehicle safety tips is also very important. You want to check the forecast prior to your travel. Fill up your gas tank and check your tire pressure. Let someone else know what route you're planning to take and your estimated arrival time. Pack an emergency supply kit, which I'm going to get to in just a second. Avoid travel if you're not comfortable traveling within the winter precipitation, and if you do become stranded, remain in your vehicle. So here's what a winter supply kit should look like. You want to have batteries, blankets, an extra car battery, cat litter, because believe it or not, cat litter helps with the traction if you are going to be along icy roadways, anything like that. You want to have a first aid kit, a flashlight, gas, maybe an extra tire, phone chargers, a rope, potentially sandbags, and of course the most important, snacks and extra water. Now, you will hear me talk about the 4 Ps a lot as we head into the winter season. This doesn't just have to do with winter precipitation. This has to do with winter in general. We do see a lot of nights where we will dip down below 32 degrees. So here's what the 4 Ps are going to look like. You want to protect your people. by dressing in layers, limiting your time outdoors, and you want to check on your loved ones occasionally. Protect your pipes by unhooking outdoor hoses from faucets. You can wrap exposed pipes with some sort of insulation. Protect your plants by bringing in potted plants somewhere indoors, or you can move them closer to the house and you can cover them with some sort of covering. I know we like to use bed sheets if it ever gets to a point where we are expected to see this cold weather. And to me, most importantly, you're going to want to protect your pets. You want to bring your outdoor pets inside or have them some sort of heated system that they can use safely outdoors.